Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Adair Live. I'm Gabby Gately. I'm part of the marketing team here at Adair, and today we're joined again with Jay. How are you doing today, Jay?
I am doing outstanding, Gabby. Thank you so much for having me back. It really
Of
does mean a lot.
course. Yes, you're our expert in everything here, so
Oh,
it's
my
always nice
goodness.
to have you.
Yeah, no expectations.
Awesome. So today we're just going to go through our home building process timeline. We have actually an updated one on our website where, let me see, I think I can share my screen so I can show everyone how to find it. But super simple. You just go onto our website and then under our resource center, it should be right here, our home building process timeline. We have an Arizona version and a Pacific Northwest version, which is very nice. Split it up a little bit. Yeah, so you can, if you want to, follow along and then you can download it at any time as well, even after this Adair Live. But we'll just kind of go through all of our steps in this. So we know that kind of building a new home can be a very daunting process to people that have never done it before. So we just kind of made this uh, timeline to better kind of introduce you to what really happens. So we're going to go into our first stage, which is kind of getting started. This is kind of like your first meeting with a home ownership counselor, so at one of our branches. Jay, can you maybe let us know kind of what happens during these first initial meetings?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So I will say that most of us are nervous. Like, I don't want to go talk to a
Mhm.
builder. Are you kidding me? Like, this is a big deal. Like, how much is this going to cost me? Right.
Yeah.
But I have to say, Gabby, that here at Adair Homes, we make it so simple for our customers
Mhm.
is that come in and talk to us. Right. And specific to your question is what happens at that initial meeting. And all we're trying to do is understand what's important to you and your family, and
Mhm.
and is Adair going to be a good fit for what you're wanting to do. So at that initial meeting, we're going to understand, well, do you own land,
Mhm.
or are you like the rest of us that don't own land? Okay. And then, okay, so regardless of land, what kind of home are you looking to build? Is it
Mhm.
I mean, is it a single story? Is it a two story? And based on your family needs, do you need 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms? And what square footage would be comfortable to you? At the initial meeting, your representative at Adair Home, so we call them home ownership counselors, they would be able to walk you through a very good understanding of what comes included in the base price of your new Adair home. We're going to talk about, okay, what is my total project cost? Like, how much is all this going to
Mhm.
cost me? And I'll scratch the surface on that. It really is the land, developing the land, and then the home. So
Mhm.
you add those three together, Gabby, and it's like, okay, now I've got a total project cost. Is this going to work or is it not? Super laid back. If it works, great. We can discuss next steps. If it doesn't, great. Hopefully you've had some good education on the on your lot home building process.
Yeah, of course. And I know, kind of getting from what you just said, do people need to come in with like a full plan, like their budget, their plan, their floor plan they exactly want, or can they just come in even if they are kind of considering building?
Okay, well, that's a loaded question, and and then I'd love to answer it in two different lights,
Perfect.
right? So when you come in and
Mhm.
meet with us at Adair Homes, please have a remote understanding
Yes.
of what you want,
Mhm.
right? So it's like, Gabby, welcome to Adair Homes. What are you looking for? I don't know. Okay, perfect. How large of a home and how many bedrooms
Mhm.
would you like? Haven't thought about it. Okay, where would you like to build? Like, do you want to build in the city of
Mhm.
or in the county of? Like, what is most important to you? I don't know. Haven't thought about it. So I would say that please at least have a high level understanding
Mhm.
of what you're hoping to accomplish, right? Which
Yeah.
most of us do. But Gabby, to further answer your question, no, absolutely not. You don't need to own land. You don't have to be prepared with any documentation whatsoever, except, yeah, I'm hoping to find land or build
Mhm.
in this general area or county. And if I were going to build, God, I like a maybe like a 2,000 square foot home, definitely has got to be single story for these reasons.
Mhm.
Hey, Adair, help. Like, can I even do this? What does that look like? So no, Gabby, you do not have to be, I would say, overly prepared for the first
Mhm.
meeting.
Perfect. And then moving on to stage two, which is kind of evaluating the location. So if someone does have land, we will send a superintendent kind of out to look at that land. Can you maybe describe that process?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So what generally happens is with most builders, a lot of builders are concerned with, ooh, we got a live one, let's go into contract. Here at Adair Homes, we take a different approach. And before we even start talking about contracts and going into business with one another, right, we want to come out and look at your property because, as you know, Gabby, right, every property is technically the same. However, every property is vastly different.
Mhm.
Properties are the same in the sense that every property, without exception, needs water, power, sewer, excavation, and building permits. But every property is different because, well, my property needs a septic system where yours has city sewer,
Mhm.
or your property needs a well where my property has city water, right? My property is really sloped, like really, really sloped, where your property is laser flat.
Mhm.
Okay, that will change our excavation costs. So we want to come out, look at your property, and understand if you were going to make a decision on Adair Homes, will we be successful as a builder for you? And if so, what are your site development costs generally going to be? And we break those down in very specific line items for you. And it's really a good information process for those of us
Mhm.
that get property valuations from Adair Homes.
Yeah. What if someone maybe they don't have like land locked down, but
Mhm.
they are looking at some areas of land, and they have a good idea maybe what they want. Are we able to go out and look at it just to say this piece of land is buildable?
Absolutely. So I will say that there are two general processes. Okay,
Mhm.
for those of us that do not own land, is an Adair representative willing
Mhm.
to swing by your property and make sure that it is, buildable and feasible? Sure,
Mhm.
absolutely. We would be more than happy to do that. Okay. But is an Adair representative or Adair Homes as a company, are we willing to meet out on site, fire up our excavation trades, start working with all of our trade partners
Mhm.
to really dial in your specific site development costs? Oh, and work with your building department and your jurisdiction to understand things like building setbacks, zoning code requirements.
Mhm.
So the answer is yes. However, we just ask one thing in return is, can you as the customer, right? And this is scary. Gabby, believe me, this is a scare. I'm
Mhm.
going to say things and people are going to start dropping off the call here. Is that can you please make an offer on the property?
Mhm.
And Gabby, I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, I don't know if I'm going to buy it or not.
Yeah.
I don't even know what my total project cost is. This is really scary. Totally understand.
Mhm.
Let's talk through that. So you and your builder, in this case, Adair Homes, we don't want to be doing this full like 1 week or 2 week long feasibility study,
Mhm.
talking to your building jurisdiction, understanding building setbacks, having an excavator meet us on site, right? Talking to septic installers to get septic install, only to find out that last Tuesday some other family made an offer on the property and
Mhm.
it's now no longer on the market.
Mhm.
Make sense? So that's the only reason we would ask that any of our customers please make an offer on the property. Now, what does that mean? Okay, and I promise I'll stop talking. Is that once you make an offer on the property, okay, you do have to put what's called a earnest money agreement down. And Gabby, that can be as little as $500. I've
Mhm.
seen it go up to like $2,500. It just depends on the scope and the purchase price of the property, right? Generally speaking, the more expensive the property is, sometimes the owners and the listing agents, the realtors, might ask for a slightly higher earnest money deposit. Okay, so now I've given this $1,000 earnest money deposit on this land that I don't know. I mean, I love it, but I don't know if it's going to work. Here's the beauty: we generally get a 30-day feasibility study.
Mhm.
Okay. And what that means is that for 30 days, that property is technically off the market, right?
Mhm.
And you and your family and Adair as your builder are able to solely focus on, okay, is this going to work? Is the excavation, the water, the utilities, is the building department, is everything going to come together to pull this together for you and your family within a comfortable budget? If the answer is yes, well, that's a scary day. Let's go ahead and move
Mhm.
forward. Okay. If the answer is no, don't worry about it. Because, Gabby, what you can do is you can just rescind your offer
Mhm.
within that 30-day feasibility timeline, and you will get your $1,000 back. Make sense?
Yes.
Very simple process, no harm, no foul, um, no way of potentially losing your money, right?
Mhm.
But that is the general process for new home construction. Uh, and it's, yeah, hopefully I was able to answer that question.
Perfect. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
you were. Perfect. Um, and then kind of after that, the site evaluation and everything, we would move on to stage 3, which what we call making a house a home. Is there
Mhm.
anything kind of before all this design and everything that needs to happen? Like, are there any pre-qualifications or maybe plan selection that needs to happen before this?
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
and Gabby, that is a great question. The first thing that happens, well, after coming in and meeting with Adair, okay, if you and your family are like, this whole Adair thing sounds pretty cool.
Mhm.
I would like to explore this. Okay, perfect. If that's true, then the first step is we're going to want to get you pre-approved for construction financing. Okay. Now, if you and your family want to pay cash, great. But if you're like the rest of us that need construction financing,
Mhm.
we have an in house lender, Basis Home Loans. Check us out on the website. I mean, unbelievable interest rates,
Mhm.
unbelievable products. I mean, that's not what this cast is about. However, we should probably do a cast about that. But
Yes.
we want to get you pre-approved for
Mhm.
a construction loan. Okay.
Mhm.
Now that you're pre-approved, both you and your Adair representative have a very clear understanding of your budget and how much money we have to spend.
Mhm.
Fair? So every conversation, Gabby, that we have moving forward, okay, we need to make sure that from a floor plan perspective, from a site development perspective, from a land purchase perspective, are we in budget?
Mhm.
Right? Every conversation. So getting pre approved is definitely the first step. And before we come out and do a property evaluation, we're at least going to ask, do you have a favorite floor plan?
Mhm.
Versus standing out on the job site with you and being like, so what are we thinking?
Mhm.
4,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet, one bedroom, six bedrooms.
Mhm.
I'm exaggerating,
Yes.
but yeah, as long as you could have
Mhm.
a favorite floor plan or two,
Mhm.
we would love to come out and meet with you on site.
Perfect. And then are there any deposits that have to be made before kind of starting the whole process of design and everything?
Generally speaking, in the industry, the answer is yes.
Mhm.
And Adair Homes, because we now in most of our locations are running what we call our site services program, where we take care of all the site development on behalf of the customer, there normally is a deposit.
Mhm.
However, as of right now, the date of this recording being 6/26 of 2025, we are not requiring deposits um, during our feasibility process.
Okay.
So what does that mean? Well, that means we can get you pre-approved for financing,
Mhm.
no money down. We can come out and take time, energy, and effort, visit you on your job site, help you get excavation bids, septic bids, like we discussed. Our team is going to be talking to your building department and your jurisdiction to understand, okay, if we were going to apply for building permits tomorrow morning on that property, will we be successful? In fact, Gabby, we haven't even talked about this, but we'll even customize your floor plan We will, I mean,
Mhm.
if you want a blue toilet on the roof, we can submit that pricing,
Mhm.
and how much is that going to cost, right? And we do all of this. We do all of this, bringing together your total project cost with a bow on it so you
Mhm.
and your family can have a good understanding of the Adair home on that lot. And we do it at no cost out of pocket whatsoever. So the only time Adair Homes will ask a client for money is when you're saying, yes, let's go into contract, let's go build. And
Mhm.
that's where Adair Homes will need to take a very small deposit to go into contract. The only other example of needed to receive funds, right, is for those of us that want to go down the full custom home path, where I love Adair Homes, but I've got this floor plan that I found online and I got to build that one.
Mhm.
Perfect. We have a custom home path to do that, and that there would be a small fee attached to that. But Gabby, long-winded way of answering your question. There are no fees, no deposits of any kind during the, sales exploration
Mhm.
phase of is Adair going to be my builder?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I will say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then after maybe they say, yes, we want Adair Home to make our dream home, we'll go into stage three. So making a house a home where they get the opportunity kind of to select their finishes and what's going to be
Mhm.
inside their home plan. Um, what are the homeowners maybe able to select to go inside their home? I know some builders maybe they can only choose a couple things or different sets of plans.
Mhm.
What can homeowners choose with the Dare?
Oh, I love it. And I think, Gabby, you're brilliant that you put this as one of the final stages prior to signing contracts.
Hmm.
Because think about it like this. There are a couple of non-negotiables out there in the world.
Hmm.
One is how much we're paying for land. Okay, well that
Yep.
that just is what it is. I mean, yes, you can negotiate the price. However, once you have the land identified, the cost kind of is the cost,
Hmm.
right? The second thing is site development. When it comes to working with our excavators and septic installers and well drillers, and the building jurisdiction for your building permits, and the PUD for your power connection, those are just kind of fixed costs. Those actually are not negotiable,
Hmm.
at least that I'm aware of, unless you want to get multiple bids from multiple
Yeah.
excavators, right? But the reason why we put this last is, okay, what is our remaining budget now that we have the home uh, really dialed in? We understand site development costs and the land cost, right? Gabby, at this phase, we now have a remaining budget, okay,
Hmm.
for any gingerbread, right?
Hmm.
Interior fit and finish. And Adair Homes makes it extremely easy for you because we have a very well documented, thanks to our marketing team, we have a very well documented included features list. Not all builders have that. And that's one of the reasons why it's so difficult to shop builders, is because how do I compare builder A versus builder B versus Adair Homes? Because every builder has a different base price and
Hmm.
what is included for that price. Here at Adair, one very simple document, it's multiple pages, but one very simple document shows you exactly what you get in the base price of your home. We then have design centers
Hmm.
in each of our branch locations. And Gabby, you and your family can walk through our design centers, from gorgeous quartz countertops, granites, beautiful assortment of tile backsplash
Hmm.
options for full height, etc. Tons of cabinetry options. I mean, on and on and on and on. And you can then spend your remaining resources of your budget however you and your family see fit. We line itemize all of that on the contract so you know exactly where each dollar is going of your budget. So, very simple
Perfect.
process.
Yes, that's awesome. Um, let's see. Kind of then after that, kind of picking everything they want
Mhm,
in their home. It goes on to stage four, which is finalizing the layout. We say the typical time is 2 days,
mhm.
but can maybe you talk about this process of our like design and drafting team kind of finalizing a homeowner's layout?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, what our drafting team generally does is think about it like this. Here at Adair, we are full transparency. And when you're interacting with one of the sales associates, home ownership counselors, at your local Adair office, right, we're dealing with what we're going to consider a standard floor plan, like the Catalina. or the Oswego, right?
Mhm.
We are dealing with a standard floor plan. Well, as you and your family make changes to it, like I want to add a window, I want to upgrade this, I want to add that, I want to change and tweak this, okay? What we do during this phase is we engage our drafting department. It takes a couple days,
Mhm.
and we actually take the Oswego or the Catalina floor plan and we literally make it your own. We bring all the things that you are adding or deleting or changing or modifying. We pull together the Gabby custom floor plan. So it is no longer called the Oswego.
Mhm.
And that is what this phase does is it provides you a full visual representation of the exact floor plan that you want to build that is again an exact representation of your contract.
Mhm.
So yeah. And it's
Yeah.
that's exciting to actually
Yes.
see your floor plan come to life.
I know. It's awesome. I see basically almost every single Adair floor plan is a custom floor plan because everyone wants their specific things, and I like that we can give
Yep.
that to those homeowners, which is awesome.
Yep.
And then moving on to stage 5, we call it completing the contract. So it's kind of you're able to review everything we've
Mhm.
already talked about. Are you able to make changes to the contract after this stage?
Oh, things were going so well, Gabby, and now you have to throw that question at me? No.
Sorry.
No. No. Very valid, very valid.
Mhm,
So here's the deal, and this is why I think Gabby's asking the question, is at Adair Homes, we are a full custom builder.
mhm,
Okay. We will do anything you need. We can move walls, add windows, delete walls, make garages bigger, add square footage, remove square footage. We can just abandon our entire building permit plan set and we'll go build a custom home for you. Okay.
mhm,
So prior to contract, we are arguably the most flexible builder you will ever interact with. Okay. But then we just ask one thing in return, and that is after we sign contracts, and we're starting to put together all your building permit applications, your engineering. We're getting all of our work orders out to our trades and suppliers. Can we please not make changes?
yeah.
Right. And I can bore you to death on all of the efficiencies of not making changes after we're in contract and after we move through permitting. But that's the long-winded way of answering your question, Gabby.
Mhm,
Pre-contract, extraordinarily flexible.
mhm,
After contract, Adair starts getting really strict for very good reasons. And so
yes.
hopefully customers understand that.
Mhm, yes, of course.
Yep.
And then after contracts have been signed and everything, we go into stage 6, which is kind of dates and drafting.
Mhm.
This can take a couple weeks that we have in our form that we have, but kind of after the order is finalized and ratified, could you maybe describe the process of what like our design and drafting team is going through to kind of help get your construction drawing set?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm,
So again, this is the phase where we're going to kind of hurry up and wait. And I'm going to
mhm,
apologize in advance, but this is just a function of the industry. So
mhm,
once you sign contracts with the builder, in this case, Adair Homes, okay, the next thing that's happening, okay, is the drafting and engineering teams are pulling together your building permit plan sets, right? Here at Adair Homes, we can get it done in as early as 30 to 45 days. Sometimes it's 60 days. It depends on bandwidth, time of year, all different types of things. But that's where we are pulling together with our in-house drafting team your full building permit plan set,
mhm,
not just the floor plan, but the framing layout, the floor joist layout, that entire packet of
mhm,
information that document. Okay. And we're working with our outsourced third party engineers, like our truss engineers and our
mhm,
structural engineers, et cetera. Right.
mhm,
And ultimately bringing all of that together, Gabby, after, I'll just say a month or two. And now the Adair team is ready to apply for your building permit.
mhm.
So that's kind of that whole stage there.
Awesome. Yeah. And this kind of goes into our homeowners are then meeting with our pre-construction team. Could you
Mhm.
maybe tell us what our pre-construction team does in case anyone doesn't know?
Absolutely.
Mhm,
So here at Adair, exactly what Gabby's touching on is that we have, or you rather, have a dedicated Adair staff member assigned to your project at all times. So up front, okay, you are working with our home ownership counselors. Okay. Once the contract is signed, the home ownership counselor isn't going anywhere. They are still 100%, your advocate. However, what Gabby was suggesting is we now have a project administrator. And the project administrator, for lack of a better term, they take your job from now you've signed contracts with the builder all the way through what we call pre-construction
Mhm.
until we actually pour your foundation and now it's time to go actually build your home.
Mhm.
So Gabby, that's defined on like who's going to be my main point of contact for helping me fund my loan and make sure that my loan is funded in time, and who's going to go apply for my building permits, and what about all this other paperwork. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but what about all the paperwork in that pre-construction phase
Mhm.
leading up to actually being able to pour my foundation? That's our project administration team, and they do a fantastic job.
Mhm. Yes, that 'cause that then kind of goes into those next stages of stage 7 and 8 of kind of the permit and project planning meetings and then getting your permits approved. So
Mhm.
I think it's pretty awesome that our project administrators basically take on kind of that permitting process for our homeowners. I know some other builders might not do that. Um,
It's true.
so it's a very more streamlined process for our homeowners.
Yeah.
Easier.
And I will say, Gabby, that one of the things that Dare tries desperately to do, this is
Hmm.
at leadership level, is how do we simplify the home building
Yeah.
process? Like how do we distill that down and make it very simple and
Hmm.
as easy as possible for our clients? And I believe that the process that we've put together does.
Hmm.
Right. We have very kind of like you are walking us through our processes and our steps. And don't worry about step 4 or step
Hmm.
7 or step 9. We're in step 3 right now, right?
Hmm.
And each step is very dedicated, very easy for a customer to understand. And um, anyway, my opinion only, it does take a lot of the stress and just decompress everything
Hmm.
around the home building process.
Yes, it's awesome. Let's see, moving on to stage 9, kind of after the permits have been approved, we can start preparing the site. Jay, do you know maybe how long this could typically take for a site? I know it kind of depends on each
Ooh, I can
site.
tell you exactly.
Oh,
So,
okay.
well, I can tell you exact averages.
Okay.
Um, So generally speaking, in the greater Portland metro region, that's just one of a multitude of our regions. Um, this last fiscal year, it takes on average about 30 to 40 days um, to start pushing dirt and
Mhm.
getting that job ready for a foundation. So that means, grubbing the lot because it's probably overgrown potentially,
Mhm.
right? To bringing in the rough driveway, to excavating the building pad, to opening up all the utility trenches. I mean, everything it takes to get that undeveloped lot ready for new home construction.
Mhm.
So, generally speaking, Gabby, I would say for anybody listening, 30 to 40 days is very, very reasonable. However, Gabby's family owns 20 acres, right? And she wants 1,000-foot driveway with large line extensions that
Mhm.
the PUD has to put in, on, I mean, I'm exaggerating again, but, generally speaking, the larger the property, and especially if there's like a ton of topography and
Mhm.
slope that our excavation contractors are having to deal with, could it go longer than that? Absolutely. But it's not going to be a surprise. Our
Mhm.
Adair team will absolutely communicate that to the customer.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then does the homeowner need to do anything during this stage? So preparing the site, do they have to do anything?
Absolutely. They have one very, very important role, and they need to point at where they want their home placed.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm exaggerating. No, customers do not have
Mhm.
any responsibilities, Gabby. But
Mhm.
leading up to this point, remember we talked about that feasibility study when we met on site, and you already mentioned one of the meetings, which is our project planning meeting, right? and we have a site work kickoff meeting. So remember the process, how we make it really easy for
Yes.
our customers. Yeah, one of those meetings, right, or a couple of them, is where we are double and triple confirming that this is exactly where you want your home placed
Mhm.
and oriented correctly to capture any of those views. So that is the only thing the customer needs to do during this phase.
Perfect. Just sit back and relax,
That's
kind
right.
of.
Easy, just watch it happen. I would
Mhm,
ask take pictures, right?
mhm,
Put together either a digital or physical scrapbook, and how exciting to have your entire project
mhm.
from excavation to keys all documented. I think that'd
I
be awesome.
know. Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
And then kind of we finally move into one of the most exciting stages, which building will
Mhm.
begin. So after all the site development has been completed, the construction team kind of verifies that the site is ready and then pours the foundation. Are there any steps or stages or checkpoints that are worth noting during this like building process?
Um, I would say yes. I
Mhm,
think that the first thing worth noting is, remember when Gabby and I were talking about dedicated Adair team members? So we do have a dedicated Adair team member that does all your site development,
mhm,
right? So not only is your home ownership counselor still there, and not only is your project administrator still there, but now you have your site manager doing all of your site development.
mhm,
And then what Gabby just suggested is, okay, now that all your site is developed, everything's done, we are ready for foundation. We do a handoff meeting that is internal. And now you have a vertical superintendent, is
mhm,
what the industry calls them, that actually takes the home from foundation and goes vertical with it, right? And again, everybody on the Adair team is here to help, serve, and answer your questions, but you will always have a main point of contact
mhm.
during this phase when we go into vertical construction, right? Again, there's really nothing for you as the homeowner to do. I mean, observe,
Yeah.
ask questions. I mean, I can geek out on software that we use like Novi Home, etc.,
Mhm,
and Builder Signal previously, where you're, even if you can't make it there that week or that month, right? Your superintendent's on site taking pictures,
mhm,
uploading them to the software, giving you great visuals of where your home's at in process.
mhm.
Again, we can do a whole different podcast on that, but
Mhm.
yeah, super exciting phase though to see this
Awesome.
home come
Mhm.
together.
Yes, it's very exciting. Are there any kind of maybe halfway through your build, is there any like a midpoint inspection at all with your construction super?
There's
Mhm,
going to be a couple of what we would consider mandatory meetings
mhm,
to be able to meet on site. So even for those customers that do live out of town, we're going to be giving you plenty of notice of these on-site meetings. And yes, we do want to have. Generally speaking, there are three times.
mhm,
First is what we call our site work kickoff meeting. So loans are funded, building permits are approved, and we are ready to start pushing dirt. So we would love to meet with you on site. It's a super exciting time because the next person to show up is the excavator,
mhm,
right? And he's coming tomorrow morning. That's the first time. The second time is generally around the midpoint of the home. We do a midpoint inspection, a midpoint walkthrough. We want to orient you to the home. Our superintendents are going to be spray painting and kind of lining out where certain things are going in the home,
mhm,
cabinetry, electrical, things of that nature. And then the third and final time is obviously when we are bringing you in at closing. We want to do what's called a pre-walk orientation.
mhm,
We want to make sure that, does the home fit your needs from a fit and finish perspective? Are there any little nuances or things that you see that need to be corrected prior to signing final docs and handing you the keys? But those are generally, Gabby, the
mhm,
three times that we would ask that you please be physically on site.
mhm. Yes, and that
Yeah.
was perfect. It went right into stage 11, so we can go skip to stage 12, which is the most exciting part. We call it the dream becomes reality. So this is kind of the very last step until you actually can move into your home. Can you maybe talk about maybe these final last steps until they actually get to move in to their home?
Absolutely. Yeah, the final last steps, and again, these are super, super exciting, is your Adair vertical superintendent is going to be calling for what's called your final building inspection.
Mhm,
And the final building inspection culminates with what the industry calls a certificate of occupancy. And that's where you are legally able to move into your new home, Gabby.
mhm,
There may be nuanced items, okay, on that final building inspection that maybe Adair needs your help on,
mhm,
right? Your jurisdiction might require certain things to be done before your certificate of occupancy can be administered. Those things are normally pretty minor in nature,
mhm,
but we want to make sure that you, as the customer, are well aware of what those things need to be. Okay, and they can be as small as putting home letters on your home address letters
mhm,
on the home, or numbers rather on your home. It can be making sure that road approach gets completed. If you're in an HOA, it could be make sure that those three maple trees in the front yard get get completed or planted rather,
mhm,
right? So those are all little nuanced things that you're going to know about way in advance. But if there are things that are outside of the Adair contract that you as a homeowner are handling, that's when we would want to notify you of those things. And yeah, super super exciting time to walk through your brand new home
mhm,
and give us just a really good punch list of little things that need to happen, drywall nicks or cabinet scuffs or whatever they are, and then yeah,
mhm,
we take care of all of that. Do a full orientation with you on your brand new home.
mhm,
And Gabby, I'm going to tell you that that is when our relationship begins, and we have a full team dedicated here with when it comes to customer experience
mhm,
and warranty.
mhm,
That department's led by Colby. Colby Duncan is a fantastic asset to Adair Homes, and I think most of us are like, "Great, now my builder's done with me. Give me my keys and goodbye." No,
mhm,
no. Here at Adair Homes, that's when our relationship is just beginning.
mhm. Perfect, because then they kinda enroll in that warranty program, and then I think we also give them maybe a booklet on, like, how to maintain their new
Yes.
home, which I
Yep.
think is awesome. You wanna be able to maintain all the hard work you just put in to create your
That's
new
right.
home.
That's right.
Mhm. And then I think that's basically the last step, and then you get your keys.
That's right. You get your
Mhm.
keys and move on in. That is
Perfect.
technically one thing that Adair does not help with is physically moving your things into your home. However,
Ah,
we Gabby, we do all of the other heavy lifting, I
mhm.
promise.
To find someone else for that.
Yes, yes.
I
So
think that's okay. They might be able to do that.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. I think we've gone through every single stage we could possibly think of. And we didn't have any questions, so hopefully we got through everything people were wondering. If not, you can ask them now, or this will be uploaded to YouTube and Facebook, and so you can comment even after this live is done, and I will see it, and I will answer your question the best of my ability, or I'll ask Jay to help me out.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, Gabby, thank you so much for having me. I
Yes.
appreciate the time today, and we
Of
look forward to
course.
seeing each and every one of you that
Mhm.
are watching this video. Please engage, get into your local Adair office. We would love to see if Adair is
Mhm.
a good fit for you.
Yes, of course. And then we will see you all next time on our Dare Live. Thank you guys for hopping on and listening for a little bit.